Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that algorithmically good fun. And in a relatively short amount of time, I've gone from only having 100 subscribers to over 150. I mean, it was just 10 days ago I did my 101 subscribers Omega special. And thanks in large part to Aaron the Pandemic, Aaron the Pendantic, sharing a video of mine on his own channel and, kind of a thing, in his community tab. Yeah, I've had a big influx of people, so hi, welcome on board everyone. Tell Aaron the Pandemic that I said hi, and I'm a little strapped for what to do with a 150 subscriber special, so I guess I'll just finally get around to talking a bit about Beyond the Supernatural. This game was kind of like legendary to me a bit when I was younger, back in high school, because, back when in the peak when Palladium was hot and found in comic shops and bookstores, and all Rifts was everywhere, you'd see mentions of this game, but I would never see it for sale anywhere. I think once I knew someone who had the older softcover version of the first edition that I think I might have briefly thumbed through once while over at their house. We're talking going on 25 plus years ago, so I vaguely remember it. But I had ordered the Christmas surprise package deal this year and got this and a couple of Heroes Unlimited books, and so I finally get to see the legendary long prequel to Rifts, and I love it. It's great. It's unfinished, and it's very self-conscious about that fact. There's two little sections that I've come across so far of Kevin Symbieta making big promises about all these source books that are come out for it, and sorry that he didn't include magic users in a section on spells, but there's going to be a whole other book about that coming soon. Just to double check, to make sure that my memory was correct, I went on to palladiumbooks.com and looked in the Beyond the Supernatural section, and the books that he mentioned in this book 20 years ago were still there, with a little blank icon and kind of a coming soon pre-order kind of a thing on them. So he was correct. You're not just going to have to wait a year to get these source books. You're going to have to wait 20 years and counting. I don't really think it needs that much in the way of source books, though, since it's a prequel to Rifts. It's the Rifts world, but set in the modern times. So it's still 100 years, give or take, before the events of Rifts Chaos Earth, and 400 years roughly before the events of the mainstream Rifts timeline in the year 109 post-apocalypse. So Earth is depowered. You have these some magic creatures that are around, who are no longer have any ambient magic energy to survive off of, so they're increasingly desperate. They're shrinking in number and reliant on having to kill people to and torment them to harvest PPE so that they can keep themselves sustained, because a lot of them are psychic energy vampire kind of entities when it comes down to it. And all the player character classes are psychics, which there's plenty of to choose from. It gives the player character groups a nice kind of honed, focused kind of core theme that all the player characters have together, that for them to gather around. They're all psychics, they all have something to do with the Laszlo Society or something like that, and they're investigating the supernatural. It's kind of like a Call of Cthulhu light, just minus the elder gods and stuff. But the fact that magic is dead and all that, then yeah, there's legends of magic and relics of magic out there and stuff, but there's no actual magic users, especially not for player characters. And spell magic has been forgotten. That's why in Chaos Earth, their whole book on magicians are all, people who are kind of spontaneously relearning magic from scratch. It's not they're not university wizards at that point in the Rifts timeline. So it would only be natural that they come out of a Earth where there's not a bunch of occult societies actively practicing magic. So, I highly recommend it. It's kind of like a dark Scooby-Doo, like I said, kind of a Call of Cthulhu light, where you're just dealing with the dark evil monsters from mythology, the darker ones, and things that go bump in the night, just without all the weird elder god, cosmic insanity kind of overtones, unless you want them there. There's things you can port in from other Palladium products, which is something I'll get to here in a second. I will say, though, upon first flipping through it, after getting my hands on this finally, at the very beginning of the character creation section, I saw something that might be why that this book wasn't seen on a lot of bookshelves back in the day, and that's like the very first character class listed because they're in alphabetical order is the autistic psychic savant, which, you know, when this game was first conceived in like the 80s, you know, like, you know, in a weird way, that was actually rather forward-thinking, and in many ways, the way it's written up, it's not handled too terribly. It's not like it's held in The Predator or in your average Michael Bay movie and stuff like that. It's not like making fun of it, you know, it's not South Park, it's not autism as a joke, but, you know, considering the culture we live in now and how that word is treated, it's just ironic that that's what they chose to lead off with. But, you know, you can trace a lot of the psychic classes to psychic classes that would later emerge in the Rift setting, just different. It does do this kind of interesting thing where your character's ISP, which is the amount of points they have to fuel their psychic powers, will balloon up depending on what like level of threat they're around in terms of supernatural entity. This is almost like a stalkery kind of thing, kind of hinting at. And I don't know, like, I mean, I guess you can still burn through your powers, even fighting something super powerful, but it kind of feels like that might just make sure your character runs out of energy, in which case, why even have points for your psychic powers as a way to fuel them if there's less risk of them ever actually running out of it all. I don't know. But, you know, there's a few source books that are available for Rifts that I think pair well with it if you're looking for a bit more than just the thin little monster section in here. Two of them are source books that go with Chaos Earth. Creatures of Chaos gives you a selection of interesting demons that are not your classic hell or devil type demons. They're more kind of like apocalypse demons, chaos demons as they're called in this. Like some of them are day demons, some of them are night demons. And as with all of these kind of supernatural menaces, a lot of them have like motives and styles that still lend them to like modern day settings. And even though the primary stats are written out for MDC, they also include conversions so that you can have them what they would be in a low magic SDC setting like it is in Beyond the Supernatural. Also, Rise of Magic as a way to include magic users as, you know, villainous NPCs. This gives you some options on like emergent magic classes of people who learn how to use magic in a world that doesn't actively have any magic schools or anything. The Rift's Dimension book, Secrets of the Atlanteans. Considering that, like, you know, they operate much like an ancient interdimensional secret society. Less so than like an intergalactic civilization or anything like that. So that lends themselves well to like occult conspiracy kind of campaigns and adventures. Also, you know, since they are like a backbone feature of Rifts, and there's stuff in this book that hints about their involvement in the events that led to Chaos Earth, it also would not be unreasonable that, you know, true Atlanteans might have been operating on Earth even in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. So this could be an interesting resource you can use, you know, for various Atlantean clans and Atlantean bad guys and NPCs that your player characters might discover and try to unravel what the hell they're up to and all that kind of stuff. If you want to bring in some Elder Gods, you could use the Dragons and Gods book from for the Palladium Fantasy role-playing game, but also I just go to Pantheons in the Megaverse. It gives you a broader palette and selection of different kinds of pantheons to use, as well as like other kinds of, you know, entities that take the place of gods in the name of gods that, you know, would also fit perfectly well into a Beyond the Supernatural setting. So this would be a good one to look at for that. Both of the vampire books, both Vampire Kingdoms and the Rift Vampire source book, both have a lot of resources that are appropriate for Beyond the Supernatural. Were creatures, for one thing, you know, extensive stats on all different kinds of vampires and variants for them, and how vampires operate, and what kind of tools you need to fight them, and how to fight them. And you know, there's ways you can use the locations in Mexico where the Vampire Kingdoms arise as modern day settings. I mean, to kind of like as precursor foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the future when the apocalypse come kind of stuff. You can sprinkle into your adventures where characters have to go into the jungles of the Yucatan and all that kind of shit. Both of these source books would be handy for that. And then also, you know, you might be able to find a few things in the Rift Book of Magic. Less so for the spells, but, you know, there's like magic items and like, you know, all sorts of stuff that would be appropriate to kind of like have lying around in the Rift setting. Optionally, you might want to take a look at Rift's World Book, I think it was 5, the NG Triax and the NGR. It actually has stats for Victor Laszlo, and so that you also through that one find out exactly what the fuck happened to Victor Laszlo, because like this book, the main rule book, talks a lot about how, you know, he founded this, you know, society of supernatural sleuths, but he disappeared in 1984 mysteriously while on a mission in the jungles, blah 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 blah. So, you know, that kind of a thing. Highly recommend it. You know, it's probably a top 5 for sure, and a hidden gem because it just was never really out there for sale for a lot of people, so it kind of got overlooked. And the fact that it never really ever got any of its promised support doesn't help it either. But, you know, because Palladium has such universalized rules between their games, and the fact that this is effectively, you know, a Rifts game, it's perfectly appropriate to pull resources out of existing Rifts source books. So that would be how I'd recommend going forward with it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching this. Leave comments. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for subscribing some more. Give me some more subscribers. I need them. I need them. Have a good one. Stay waspinated.